required to restrict their lecture within 10 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee. Please start.
Okay, thank you. To start with, I did my graduation from IIT Kharagpur and I have an MBA from Delhi University. I worked in a number of engineering companies, but the bulk of my professional career has been spent with Engineers India Limited, where I worked for the project division. And I have primarily worked on refineries, offshore platforms, and cross-country pipelines. In this session, I will talk about commercial, contractual, and financial aspects of project business. The aspects which I will touch upon do not form any part of the project activity per se. They do not appear in the engineering planning, procurement, or construction of the project. Yet, they can have a profound impact on the cost and time of the project. They can make all the difference between the success and failure of a project. Follow next slide. Project execution business runs on clearly laid out technical and commercial guidelines, which are agreed between the client and the contractor. Such agreements are formalized in the form of contracts, and the contract is the central document which forms the basis of project execution. All the various agencies involved in the project, the owner, the consultant, the equipment vendor, the contractor, they interact with one another in terms of the contract. The overall objective is to execute projects of acceptable quality in time. However, in course of this execution, conflicts arise. Conflicts can be of commercial, contractual, or financial in nature, or a combination thereof. Such conflicts invariably tend to increase the cost and time of the project. Fair contract management involves the fair and acceptable resolution of such conflicts in line with the stipulations of the contract to the satisfaction of all concerned. Follow next. Contract finalization and signing is the culmination of a long process involving preparation of tender, floating of inquiries, receiving bids, analyzing, and finally awarding the contract. Subsequently, the project construction is started and executed. Even though the contract is between the owner and the contractor, there are multiple agencies invariably involved in a project. In the whole process, 4 main agencies get involved: the owner, the consultant, the equipment vendor, and the contractor. Each has a distinct role to play. While the goal is common for all of these agencies, their approach and interests are significantly different. Each has a slightly different interest and looks at the project business through his own prism of interest. Follow next. The owner has a certain attitude and owner creates certain problems. Surprising, that's how it is. The owner's interest lies in execution of the works in the shortest possible time and with minimum cost. From the beginning till closure, he remains the final authority in taking major decisions regarding choice of contractor and consultant, actions to be taken in case of failure of the contractor or any major equipment vendor, taking statutory clearances and providing access and work fronts. He also monitors the progress of work on a regular basis and releases payment to various parties. In actual practice, however, the owner may fail in taking timely clearances and providing work fronts. Where the owner is required to give clearances, even if documents are available in time, they often end up delaying some clearances and approvals. The owner may also delay the release of payments to the contractor in time, affecting the contractor's cash flow. Column next. The consultant has a crucial role. He provides the technology, the detailed engineering, and does site supervision and approves and accepts the work on behalf of the owner. The consultant would like to be in overall control of the works, including all activities related to the project execution. He would like to have a lead role in conceptualizing all aspects of project, including engineering, planning, purchase, and execution. The consultant's objective is to have a leadership role in executing the job, establish his credentials by successfully leading from the front, and also get paid for his services. The consultant is responsible for the acceptance of all documents, including work procedures, test reports, schedules, progress reports, inspection reports, cost monitoring reports, etc. However, consultants are not always able to effectively meet their obligations. They can have shortcomings in terms of qualified manpower, tools for designing and detailing. Consultants are known to delay giving drawings and technical data, delay approval of contractors' documents, and at times fail to inspect works and equipment expeditiously due to various reasons. We have to realize, however, a critical fact, which is that the actual execution of the project is overtly dependent on the capabilities of the contractor and the equipment vendor. The owner and consultant can create a watertight contract, do everything right from their side, yet the project execution may suffer if the contractor and equipment vendors don't perform. Column next. Equipment manufacturer, including bulk material vendors, have a major role to play in any project involving construction of industrial plants. They are the invisible major participants in a project being executed. Invisible because they are not usually present in the site, and major participants because equipment costs form a major part of the overall project. In a typical refinery project, equipment cost forms roughly 55% of the total cost. All established equipment vendors have their own manufacturing methods, quality control procedures, and set stages for inspection. Any modification in these is likely to result in cost and time impact for them. Hence, they would always like that their methods are accepted in toto. They would also like inspection and dispatch clearances as soon as the equipment is ready so that he gets his payment in time. However, the equipment vendor has obligations to fulfill in completing his deliveries. He has to adhere to the agreed delivery schedule, provide execution methodology, and startup and operating manual. Equipment vendors are often dependent on sub-vendors for supply of critical components. Sub-vendors can fail to supply components in time. Many vendors are poor at documentation, which leads to delay in inspection and acceptance of the equipment. Column next slide. The contractor. The contractor is the principal agency responsible for execution of the project. The contractor needs cash for their working capital, hence would like to have the initial mobilization payment released early so that he can mobilize equipment and manpower and start work as soon as possible. He would also like all subsequent bills to be paid on time. He needs all work fronts to be released well in time so that he can work unhindered. He gives notice for stage-wise and final inspection and wants prompt inspection and clearance so that he gets paid on time. However, on the ground, the contractor tends to fail in meeting his own obligations fully. He is often unable to mobilize properly to start work at pace. He delays the submission of work schedules, work procedures, and in some cases, contractors fail to maintain progress, and this may necessitate contractual action like suspension of work, offloading of work in part or whole, or in extreme cases, termination of contract. Next slide, Paulo. It is thus clear that though all four agencies, namely the owner, the consultant, the equipment vendor, and the contractor, have the same aim, there is often a gap in their efforts and a lack of synergy. Contractual disputes create bottlenecks which are often not resolved in time, and this gives rise to delays and cost overruns. The contractual documents may have some major sections. It has a general conditions, special conditions, bill of quantities, technical specifications, and etc. The main contractual clauses are included in the general conditions of contract. And all these disputes between the parties are resolved according to the terms of the general conditions of contract, and occasionally they refer to the special conditions of contract. The general conditions of contract which are prevalent in India are all derived from the FIDIC original contract document. Every client then keeps modifying and improving the contractual document, the general conditions, and tries to make it watertight. So we have to remember that a contract is managed and concluded successfully only when disputes are quickly resolved in a fair and equitable manner. Next slide. Disputes can arise at any stage in course of the contract execution. Common types are, which I have listed in here. There can be others also. For example, I'll speak about a few in brief. A common cause of delay and dispute is activities prior to receiving payment. The issue is usually signing of contract is a precondition for payment. The period after the LOI and signing of the contract is a one-sided obligation of the contractor to start work. He has to start work without money. And he soft pedals, he goes slow during this period. This happens in most of the projects. The solution possibly lies in making this period as small as possible by preparing an amendment to the bidding document immediately on finalization of the contract of the contractor to enable early signing of the contract. Early signing of the contract is very essential. Then the gap between this LOI and the actual formal starting of the contract becomes small. And also some advance payment can be released against a bank guarantee to help the contractor. Another common issue is initial mobilization. Initial mobilization by contractor is often inadequate. This results in loss of precious time at the start of construction. The solution lies in requirement of initial mobilization being quantified in a schedule given in the bid document. The first payment, mobilization payment, should only be released when the contractor actually mobilizes as per that laid down list. Another issue frequently faced is the abnormally high rated items in item rate contract. In item rate contracts, there may be items for which the bidder has quoted very high rates and the BOQ quantities for such items may be low, is wrongly estimated. Any substantial increase in quantities of such items will result in abnormal increase in contract value. The solution lies in spending more time doing more accurate engineering or having more accurate basis for estimation and giving an accurate BOQ. And in fact, a clause is there in many general conditions, which in which it is stated that for AHR items, there has to be a rate analysis in case of abnormal increase. Revised rates would become applicable to increased quantities. I'll shortly talk about a case study where this didn't happen and the cost overshot by a significant amount. Extra claims can be another source of dispute. Extra claims generally arise from addition to the scope of work, crashing of completion schedule, or extension of completion time due to no fault of contractor. The solution lies in spelling out a detailed procedure, including time limits for raising and negotiating and finalizing extra claims within the contract. Finally, there is another common problem. The contractor delays completion. This is an issue, and contractor often fails to adhere to the completion schedule due to a variety of reasons attributable to them, like inadequate mobilization of manpower, equipment, faulty planning, inadequate working capital, lack of capability. The solution lies in regular monitoring of progress by the client and identifying reasons for delay so that the contractor is forced to take remedial action. Levy of liquidated damages and price reduction needs to be applied, and this needs to be spelled out in the contract. Offloading of contract, as I talked earlier, in whole or part, and in extreme cases, termination of contract has to be resorted to. I've talked about some common issues. There are many more reasons which can give rise to commercial, contractual, and financial disputes in a project. I don't think time allows me to get into all those. In fact, some disputes can be extremely involved and complicated. I'll end with a presentation with a case study, with a simple case of a civil contract. Follow next slide. This project is external repair and anti-carbonation painting of a 35-story apartment building. The apartment building has shear walls on the outside. The load is carried by shear walls. There are shear walls outside. There are shear walls around the lift well, shear walls around the staircase wells. And the shear walls, as you know, can take load in their plane. And so if the entire outside is constructed by shear wall, one has to ensure that the condition of the outside walls remain good during the lifetime of the building as it is used. In this case, that had not happened. There were defects in the plaster, and visible defects in the plaster were detected, and a job of repair of plaster, of repair of damaged concrete with anti-carbonation painting was awarded to a contractor, to a very reputed contractor. For 3.3 crore rupees, the time allowed was 12 months. It was an item rate contract, and just to give you an idea, the outside wall area was about 55,000 square meters. It is a 110-meter high building, and the contractor was from Bombay. He is one of the leading contractors who does facade repair and special painting of exterior buildings. In fact, the contractor, I won't name him, he had done this work on most of the big buildings in South Bombay. So the issue was there was a disproportionate increase in quantities of repair items during execution, leading to cost and time overrun. Follow up next slide. The reason for that was when bid package was prepared, they couldn't estimate the quantity of repair accurately. There was no way of reaching the areas, particularly in the higher up stories. The work, when it was actually done, was all done through a number of gondolas. The gondolas are hanging working platforms. And but initially, when the tender was prepared, there was no gondola available. They had made an estimate, some 10-12% of the painting area was taken as the repair area. So the single, there were, these are the items: single layer plaster, double layer plaster, repair of concrete, minor and major. Major was where reinforcement is exposed and concrete is in bad shape. Minor repair is only some cracks are there. Single plaster repair went up from 1250 square meter to 4,803. Double layer plaster went up from 250 square meter to 8,543. Now, single layer plaster repair was, the unit rate was 1,200 rupees per square meter. Double layer plaster repair was 1,500 rupees per square meter. So if you multiply, you can see the phenomenal increase. I mean, phenomenal means disproportionate increase in cost, which happened. So there was, the work was stopped. There was a fight between the owner and the contractor. Nothing could be done. Work remained suspended, not suspended. It went slow over months. And finally, although next slide. Finally, the cost went up from 3.3 crores to 4.76 crores, 4.78 crores. The planned execution was 12 months. Actual completion took 23 months. And the causes of failure, I can tell you, was repair quantity was wrongly estimated because of inaccessibility. Walls at higher elevation were not examined. This is, this is a lesson that without knowing your work, you should not prepare a tender document or a BOQ. Contract did not have any clause for renegotiation of rate in case of abnormal increase in quantity. Usually contracts nowadays have such a clause. This owner failed to include such a clause in the general conditions of contract. And the rates quoted for the repair works was very high, but because the quantity estimated was small, it did not constitute a significant part of the quotation, of the quoted price. This aspect was not analyzed during bid evaluation. Hence, the owner came to grief. The project was really a failure. So with this, I conclude my presentation. And thank you. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mukherjee. It's a nice presentation and it was understandable to everybody, and everybody must have enjoyed it thoroughly. So,
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Suresh Kumar Gupta. Mr. Gupta is the MD of Crane Manufacturing India Private Limited. So he will now speak. Over to you, Mr. Gupta.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, Mr. Gupta, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. And good afternoon, friends. Today, we know India being one of the most upcoming country, not only in South Asia, but almost all over the world. Especially when we look back at our GDP plus 6% and all that. Anyway, I presume that today I am addressing an audience of rich brain, IITians and all. You are the people must be dreaming in daytime. Here I fully agree. If you dream in a daytime, you will remember you wish to achieve your target and you start working in that direction to achieve your dream to come true. Friends, let me share some of the facts on the basis of my own experience of 57 years in engineering industry. we are in UT crane and material handling equipment manufacturing for last 30 years in person. At one point of time, Mr. Amitava Ghosh was one of my colleagues as old as late 70s. We are major supplier to most of the public sector like Indian Railway, Defense sector, Atomic Energy, EIL, NTPC, and catered more than 600 cranes to Indian Railway itself. We are also attached with Atomic Energy and various offices. We are also in solar power generation system. Coming back to today's topic, project management and execution. As far as project management is concerned, I feel following points are very important to select with the right project at right location at right time. Study market, check the actual cost of inputs before working out the cost of your particular project, especially high value items. Study labor cost, which varies from area to area. Study transportation costs. Assess technological competency, whether you are competent or you are going to buy the technology from somewhere who is reliable. The most important is time factor, which varies on different aspects like readiness of site, availability of raw material at reasonable price, sufficient funds available for execution of project. My predecessor, ex-EIL, he has been talking, and most of the places I found the failure of the contractor generally goes because of the poor available funds. Anyway, latest trend what we see as per today's scenario, most of the public sector are buying their machines through e-tendering, having following advantage, because I have seen in my life when it was a manual tender, there used to be 10 competitor and 10 cranes. At least it will take 4 to 6 hours for two parties, and it will go on 2-3 days, and like this, and we go on, adding the names of the people and reading the prices, and finally we landed into confusion. So to avoid all those things, we are very, very lucky that we are now having the e-tendering process, which is really a boon to the industry. You have complete transparency. You are completely technically competency, and of course, financial bid, which decide the fate of your tender. Since the above procedures are online, the underhand dealing is almost disappeared. Friends, on receiving the order, now one must rework the costing in the following areas. You are getting the order because you are lowest L1, but after getting the order, it is very important to review your costing, whether you will be able to manage within that cost what you are going to get. You are getting most economic. Then how to start the project? You must have the following basic things with you. You must be having a most economic design with all no compromising with the safety features. Plan your production in such a way which is in line with your requirement of the buyer. Means you must study the tender in all aspects so that you are not failed anywhere. Then third is plan to purchase your raw material and machinery in volume. Friends, let me tell you, young India, I am also addressing young engineers and old people like me, that there is a tremendous advantage with for purchasing the volume. Let me tell you, while buying in volume, your vendor, your supplier also would like to book orders in volume, maybe at very low price. And I'll give you the example. we are in crane industry required number of motors. Recently, we have finalized the order of 200 motors. Normal rate, discount rate in the market is about 40-41%. Friends, do you really believe that we have got 55.5% reduction in the price of the motor? Yes, we will not be using 200 motor in race, so we have negotiated with them, and we have given them our program. When these in next 4 months we will be needing this motor, set wise, crane wise. So they have agreed, and we are doing this. So this is one of the advantage of volume purchases, which we are similarly steel price. If you are booking
Hello, Mr. Gupta, any problem? Hello. Mr. Gupta, can you hear us?
I think some internet problem is there.
Yeah, I think so. Vallabh, can you interfere?
I think he lost the.
অমিতাভ ঘোষ সাহেব একটা ফোন করুন না ওনাকে, ঘোষ সাহেব একটু ওনাকে ফোন করুন।
I think he lost the connection.
I think he lost the connection. So
Maybe.
He'll rejoin, I think.
he'll rejoin. We have to give some time to him.
Otherwise continuity will be lost.
Yeah.
Actually, he is to inform to rejoin. Amitava, please ring him.
Please ring him.
অমিতাভ ঘোষ সাহেব ওটাকে ফোন করুন।
Anyway, we are taking care of this. Just bear with us for few minutes. Just. Hello.
The person you have called is speaking to someone else. You can.
Hello, Amitava.
hello.
Please ring Mr. Gupta to rejoin again.
Otherwise, we have to go to our next
Hello?
speaker.
He is having some internet problem.
So, should we shift to our next speaker? We are. Saroj, are you ready with your?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So, you start your thing. Mr. Singh will join later on. Please start. Mr. Saraj Khan Singh is our next speaker. Mr. Singh is the group head and GM of Atmanirbhar Engineering Company Limited. Over to you, Mr. Singh.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. A very comprehensive presentation was given by Mr. Pranay Mukherjee, and he touched upon most of the areas which are very critical to projects. Two things which really matter in projects. One is definitely the technical, and the next is the commercial. And our topic is contractual, commercial, and financial. Although they all are interlinked, the commercial part is less taught in colleges and universities. It's majorly a industry-led area where people learn this on job. And one of the most critical areas of projects is the commercial. Now, what is this commercial? So commercial definitely deals with money, but then it determines when and how much of this money will be given through a contract. So the commercial is, you can say, the unsaid and untaught part of business, which comes to people uh, quite naturally in industry. And very much connected to this is something called cash flow. Now, all these things run on a very basic thing, and that we call trust, for which teamwork and relationships are very, very important, because no matter how strong a contract you make, unless there is trust amongst the participants and the agents, or you can say businesses, this cannot work. So I think Gupta sir has joined. Gupta
Yeah,
sir, uh,
I'm
you can
there.
continue, and I will continue after you.
Thank you, dear. Thank you.
Okay. So, Mr. Gupta, please continue.
Let me share. There was a small blast in the outside the factory, so the internet went away. Anyway, I'm back. I'm back with you. So I was just trying to tell you that wastage and how to save money on this. Finally, I have few words to say. I call it a mantra for reducing the manufacturing cost, which I am successfully doing for years together, and I am enjoying this. I think Mr. Amitava Ghosh knows very well. So the first mantra is that most economical design with proper safety factor. If you are taking care of this, you are saving a lot. Purchases in volume to get best discount. I already explained you. To save the steel consumption for adopting properly layout, where your designer and planner can do lot of help. In this process, we are able to save almost 4.5% to 5% in proper layer, and reducing our wastage of steel to 0.95 or 0.95 against 2 to 3%. To save, to keep a control on inventory, which is very important part, which indirectly helps you on your cash flow. If you are keeping inventory of unproportional, then you are short of funds, and you will be able to not be able to do the proper justice to your project. To adopt best technology during fabrication life, like we have heard so many things on welding technology and all that. Ours is a small unit, and we have added all the best machines available: automatic and semi-automatic welding, then COT welding. These are the things which is helping us not only in a quality of welding, but also productivity as well as time saving. This is another area. And to adopt at least semi-automatic welding, which we have converted almost all transformer old one, then inverter to COT machine and automating it. Like a crane girders, there is a continuous process of 18-meter, 20-meter welding. So only you have set the machine there, so automatically the welding goes off without any breaking of the welding, without any pouring, anything, nothing. So these are one of area where we have improved upon and getting the advantage of it. This quality welding machine, this is purely a saving on also power. A lot of power is saved. As I mentioned that we are also in solar power industry, and we are both the units we are having 100 kilowatt power, and we are saving almost 1.5 lakh rupee per month on solar power in our both the factories, the rooftop power arrangement. Friends, now I'll just tell you the last, the how to promote human relation with number of cases. I call it incentive. To keep your workers happy, your productivity automatically goes up when you take care of your worker. Number one, there are very small examples which we are doing it, like 100% attendance in a month. If a person is attending the factory throughout the year without any break, he or she gets two attendance per month extra. Then we are taking care of their small things, LIC, ESI and everything. Earlier we were facing, our EOT crane is a product where 20, 25, 30-meter girders are there. And we, used to spend 1.5 days to load those trailer and complete can 50 ton or 60 ton. So what we did was we have put a very small incentive, 100 rupees per worker. So, but they have to do it in the same day. So they are taking 6 to 7 hour or 8 hour maximum to load these. So that helps us in saving, our productivity, because otherwise 1.5 days nothing will go, because all everybody will be working and loading and this truck and other thing. Then at the end of the year, near Diwali or Dashera or Ram Navami, that whosoever is the attendance on 100%, 98%, 96%, we are awarding them other than the 2 attendance per month, and giving them, and then promoting them, call them on the stage, ask them to. The last one is that we have put a committee where we have a suggestion from the workers level. They suggest that this could be done like this can be done, or this is the shortage. Maybe 25% they say the dress is not proper, shoes is not proper. But that 75% suggestions are very good, very productive, and I get lot of advantage of their suggestion. And always told them how to save the time. So you today measure the time cost is another thing which we are getting helped by these our workers. And yearly extra bonus we are giving for better attendance. It is more less than 80%. No, they will not get this, but 85%, 90, 95, 98. We have put the category, and with this they are very happy. They are giving 100% of them, and I am getting 200% from them. Thank you. This is my submission. I hope that if anybody has question, I am there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta. Your speech was totally on from practical aspect. So it's indeed very informative for the participants. This practical knowledge is most required in the project work. So our next speaker is, as I told, Sharad Kant Singh is already started. He has started. So please continue, Mr. Saroj. Please continue.
Sharad, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank
So
you.
I think Mr. Gupta mentioned a lot of areas about commerce, which only come through the practical applications and insights of business when you work in the field. Commerce to be taught in books is boring also, and it's not really done in the right manner because it's something very connected to transaction. So I'll be speaking on project cash flows, which is very much linked to the commercial. So the commercial team will finalize the terms, the quantum, and when the money has to be paid, and how the money flows to the project is very critical to the progress and health of the project and how you finish it. Next slide, please. Next slide. So the project cash flow is very similar to an analogy of flowing water. So as you can see, there is a tank and there is inflow of water and outflow of water. So if we consider the project as this tank, then there is cash inflow into the project and there is cash outflow of the money in the project. And if there is no water in the tank at certain time, then definitely there will be a scarcity of cash and things will not be done properly. It's very important to balance both of these. So the cash flow in project is very critical. If you look at the bottom slide, you can see that the businesses, the cash flows through various entities, like the cash you have to give to your employees for your rent and other things. and cash flows into the business through your client. Now, if we take this inflow of money as the supply rate, then outflow can be thought of as the demand rate. And the thing that remains within the tank is inventory. So, as for goods, this also applies for cash. Next slide, please. Now, when I was working in industry, I saw that many engineers don't understand the difference between cash and cost. So it's important to sometimes reflect on what is cost. So sometimes, you may be running in loss, but you may have cash to run the project. This is a very unique situation, but this does happen. So what is cost? If we take the analogy of the car, then, to make the car, there are certain expenses, and the components of the car, like the wheels, the body, the engine, they will constitute some percentage of the total cost of the car. And definitely you will appreciate that when you sell a car in the market, before you have actually manufactured it, so definitely before the inflow happens, the outflow has happened. Why? Because you have already bought these material and made this car. Now, in certain situations, obviously, this outflow may be deferred by your relationships, but we'll not go to that scenario now. Next slide, please. So, the various components of a project like that of a car are labor, material, plant and machinery, and overheads. Overheads will be things like employee salary. So, just like a vehicle has different components, the engine, the body, the wheels, the project also has similar things, and they constitute the cost of the project. Next slide, please. Now, when we are talking about cost, we should also talk about price. So, price is that which a product gets or gets sold in the market. And from our arithmetic, we know that selling price minus cost price will be our profit. Very simple. But when it comes to the project, it is not so simple, because instead of one item, there will be multiple items. And actually, this price, or if we simply call it contract price, is broken into certain number of items, and we call this a billing breakup. So this billing breakup will be the, you can say, guide by which the employer or the client will pay the contractor. Next slide, please. In a simple way, there will be two kinds of, you can say, items in a project. One will be continuous items or services, which are taking place regularly. And there are certain intermittent items which take time to be manufactured, and they come at a later time of the project, and we call it supplies or equipment. And this will constitute majorly the major components of a total project. So they will be continuous and intermittent inflows and outflows. Next slide, please. This is an example of a sample billing breakup, and when we connect this to time, we call it billing schedule. Loosely, many people call this a billing schedule, but this is actually billing breakup. So if you can see, we have multiple lines, and against each there is a unit of measurement and a quantity, a unit rate, and multiplying the quantity into unit rate, we get the amount. And once we deliver this equipment, we will be paid the certain amount. And how it will be paid is again a part of commerce, and it is written in the contract, and that is how the client will pay. Next slide, please. This is an example of a billing schedule. As we said, this is spread over time. So month wise, when the client will pay us is given, and from this billing schedule which will come the inflows. As I said, if you see in the bottom section, there is something written as 5%, 60%, 25%, 10%. So based on our deliverables at different times of the project, some percentage of the above amount written in the billing will be paid to us, and that will be our inflows. Next slide, please. This is an example of the billing inflow and outflow, and the difference between the inflow and outflow will be the cash that is remaining with us, and that will actually be how much whether we are cash negative or positive. Cash negative situation actually doesn't happen because either you have cash or you have no cash. There's nothing called a negative cash, but mathematically it does happen, and that means that you have to bring that amount of money to sustain. So this is an example of how the cash flow schedule is made and projects are run. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. That's all on cash flows. Any questions? I'm happy to answer.
Yes, I have one point to just add on your great presentation. Yes, good afternoon, Saroj. This is Gautam here. So actually,
Yes,
I had worked both of the side, means from client side as well as the contractor side. So my major career built with McNally from contractor side. I want to add on that billing schedule. Yes, that's loosely we are using, but nowadays this billing schedule is very true, because this billing breakup is now we are linked from the contract formation side. We are make shipping schedule and billing breakup both, and then it's come as a billing schedule, because unnecessary expense by getting small of the materials from the billing schedule, the customer need to input more cost, and at the end of the project there is no cash hold from the client side. As I am now client side, that's why I am telling you. And second point I want to add on, see, for cash flow, earlier times we made usually cash flows, and there actually our experience is that cash flow is a kind of sine curve. When you are executing any project, initially it's become zero, then it's increasing, and at the end of the time, then it is also a cash crunch for the contractor side. So cash management in between, when we are getting more of the revenues by billing, that we manage. Basically, that is the art of executing project within a time and the cost, isn't it?
Yes, very true. Because as Mr. Pranab Mukherjee has informed, there are various perspectives to a project, like contractor side and client side. So the client will always try to pull more cash towards himself, and contractor will always try to save more for himself. So the trust and the relationships is very important. So whenever we deal with contractors, as EPC contractor, we have subcontractors. We take them as a partner rather than our contractor, or and also see that we don't overstrain them or strangulate them by keeping more retention money and things like that, so that they cannot function. Because ultimately the aim of the client is that the contractor succeeds, because only when he succeeds the project will be done. So there has to be a fine balance. As you rightly said, if you pay more, the subcontractor may spend it and unknowingly come into a problem. So both have to be judiciously done.
Saroj, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Saroj, now in my experience, what I have seen in thermal power plant, suppose mainly in your coal handling plant or any main plant package, the amount of contract is very high.
Yes, sir.
And we have to take loan from the bank or financial institution. So when we start to pay to the contractor, our interest starts from that date. Is it true? Yes.
Yes, sir.
So what we have noticed in our earlier projects, that contractor want to deliver the high value items early, although those are required to be installed at the later stage of the project. And the owner is to pay a lot of money in the initial stage. And we have to start giving the interest to the bank or financial institution. So in our latter part of the project, suppose in Bokreshwar or in some Sagardegi, so initial stage we ask the contractor, please submit your cash flow chart from monthly cash flow chart from 0 date to end date of the project. And if you fail to draw the money, it is in your, that is also failure in your part. And
Yes.
if we do not pay, that is our part. But if we get the cash flow chart, we can ask our financial institution that this type of cash flow is required for this project.
Correct, sir.
So this should be kept in mind for the contractor side, that you do not ask for payment to then supply the high value item which will be required at the later stage, like instrumentation, electrical, those items. So,
Yes, sir.
So this is to be noted.
Correct, sir. Because actually a similar thing is happening at a present, with a present client, Jindal Power and Steel, in the civil portion. So what is happening is that there is mass concreting in the base and there are small pedestals to be done above it. So some contractors are just having the average rate. They are doing the mass contracting and then running away. So then to do that pedestal, this client has to find some other contractor who charges him more money. So somehow, that cap has to be there, how to not release the entire money to the contractor. And, that contractor also has to understand. Only when he finishes the pedestal should he get, a substantial amount, and which should not be a long time because it's just over the mass concrete. So, sir, a similar thing what you were saying, that people give the high value item and then take more money and then don't finish in time. And after some time, the client is dependent on that contractor, so he has no way out also. So there has to be a balance.
In our project, we had to issue the MDCs for supplying of the material. So if we see that these items will be required at the very later stage, we don't issue the MDCC. The
Correct,
contractor may dispatch it on their risk only. We will not pay the money.
Money won't be paid. Correct.
Yes.
Niranjan sir, Gautam here. Actually, now we have implemented one shipping schedule kind of that, because
Yes.
contractor has to declare that to be linked with the level 2 network for
Yes.
project execution, and we are seeing that time that material is coming, then only their bill will be passed. That
Yes,
Haldia Petrochemicals recently has implemented very stringently.
Yes. That is to be done.
Actually,
Yes.
that is when it becomes a billing schedule. Otherwise, it becomes a billing breakup. When you make the schedule with the billing breakup, it becomes a billing schedule.
No, billing breakup is
Yes.
another thing, and schedule means when you are going to supply those material.
Correct, sir.
Actually,
Anyway,
sequential supply should be matching the erection schedule.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sir, this is Mukulesh from Texmaco Limited. There is one term called program of performance. So every time program of performance is to be submitted with billing schedule. So that automatically matches your program of performance, describes everything from start to end. So lot of PSUs are implementing the same thing here. So I think I think organizations are taking care of these flaws. I think people are taking this type of flaws earlier, and we used to take that thing also. In hydro project, there are certain items called stress tracks. So those things are not required at the start of the project or significantly required, but we used to supply those things. These stress tracks are very easy to manufacture, as it is a tonnage wise rate, so we used to get good rate. But nowadays clients are not accepting based on the program
Yes.
performance.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mukulesh,
Yes, sir.
Mukulesh,
Finally, it all depends on the relationship between people of customer and the contractor.
So that is okay, but once
That
you
is
want to
that is the most
finalize
important thing I have seen. The people from the customer, they find out the way how to get money for the contract. This I have seen.
No. Actually, if
Niranjan,
the
Niranjan,
high value
Niranjan,
item,
no,
yes.
Niranjan. There is an exception. I am not talking about exception. You are talking about exception.
No.
I'm talking
Actually,
about the
our
general
project
thing.
cost increases. If we pay
You can do a
money earlier.
Niranjan, just 1 minute.
One thing, Mr. Ghosh. One thing. If our project cost increases, the tariff will increase automatically. We will not pay from our pocket. So the tariff will be high, and generally public will pay that.
Anyway,
Shah sir, the client's perspective. Client's perspective.
No, finally, it all depends on the relationship and the situation.
The Sahasab can
Yes,
recollect.
I agree.
Sahasab can recollect. Actually, this happened in Bokrishwar 123 when BHL supplied the item, that is high value item.
So
afterwards,
we will keep on debating on this.
Afterwards, what we did, we actually approved the billing schedule matching the sequential supply. That's Sahasab. I think you can remember.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I am stopping this discussion here only because we will keep on debating.
You go to the next.
Yeah, otherwise we will keep on debating, and it is a
whole night.
Okay.
Yeah, so interesting discussion. It will be continuing for next 2-3 hours. So I am stopping here, and we are over to our next speaker, Mr. Gautam Mukherjee. He is already taken in the discussion. So Mr. Gautam Mukherjee is the senior manager of Haldia Petrochemicals Limited, and he will be our next speaker. Over to you, Mr. Mukherjee.
Namaskar. This is Gautam, and I think those who are seeing the presentation which I made, that's basically nothing to reflection of the knowledge gathered through the rich experience for past almost 2 decades. Because I personally feel that I am a missing link between Niranjan sir, Amitava sir, and present that students who are attending this program. So I am the missing link like Archaeopteryx, because I have seen the 2000 to 2010 decades the industrial practices, and now on the modern practices as well. Based on that, I made my small presentation. I'm just going through it because time is very short. Now, the subject which I recommended and approved by the committee, that is team building and the leadership, and second is negotiation skill. Obviously, this is the skill by which I am retaining my position in this industry. So team building and leadership, although in terms of project management, my predecessors, I'm very thankful to Saroj, Pranab Mukherjee. I worked with him under his leadership as well in McNally's days. So team building and leadership is a formation where you have to, a good leader is who can apprehend or who can foresee the criticalities or or to take the proper decision for execution of any sort of like project or product, whatever may be. So I'll request Pallav, you just go to the next slide, and if possible, then you can give the control to me. See, in my thorough reading on this particular subject, I seen there are 5 levels mainly where to leadership development skill can be happened. Because in industry, when someone initiate, he cannot be recognized as a leader in due course of his performance, in due course of his deliverables, in due course of his accountability, he become a leader. So I personally feel that yes, I got so many chances to meet in my level to the managing directors of many organizations, where I've seen that that managing directors level, they are speaking very one-liner, but that line is very important for the company strategy. So I think I am doing mimicry and I am doing all together to get those of the key involvements, and then supposed to that I am growing now. So this is the leadership levels which I have little brief on that, and you can go through this because just reading through the lines it will take some more time. So Pallav, can you just go to the next slide?
You can share the screen by your own. I'll create.
Okay. Can you see it? Is it visible?
Yeah.
Yes, we can see
Yeah.
it. No problem. Carry on. Make it full screen and it's okay.
So this is one quantum type of things I had made with the axis diagram, where the leadership, individual development, organizational development, task focus, and pupil focus. These are the four coordinates where we have to accommodate ourselves is being a leader, because self-leadership skills, self-motivation, self-awareness, and the most important thing, emotional intelligence. I'll come at least 1 minute for this emotional intelligence, because nowadays this is very much important to grow ourselves, because people's mentality and the industrial practices has changed a lot from the last decades. Now this is the things where what makes an effective leader, because I have already told we must be good patients, we must be empathetic, we must be accountable, we should have a good knowledge on the practical scenario. Like for if any assignment comes to us, we have to exercise or storm our brain that what are the difficulties may come. That apprehension is most important for the leader who can lead the project. It any times you can involve yourself during your in playground, in festivals. Better one person was my boss in early stage of my career. Mr. Saroj Kumar Chatterjee, he usually told me that you please organize a personal program in your house, and you just coordinate with cost, time, budget, all satisfaction. So that is a very good learning to make yourself as a leader and a good execution of a project. So this is very important in a practical case. Now the examples of a leadership skills, communication, because either side should understand what you are communicating, what the desired elements you want to get from him. Then I'm coming to negotiation. There is a big subject. I'll come only 1 minute for that. Conflict resolution, this is the most important, because in day-to-day work so many conflicts will come. Basically the conflicts will come from the ego of a knowledge, which is I feel personally I faced lot in my career. Somebody is telling, "Arey bhai, hum to sab kuch jante hai, tum itna naya ke kya sikhayega?" So they are from the conflict starts. So you have to keep your patience, and you make either side person understandable what is the desired quantum you require to execute the smooth execution of the project with the help of that rich experienced person. Adaptability is another is the most important thing, which helps us to resolve any conflict between the work and experience. Decision making is the most important thing, that I am not talking about that any decision that to be fruitful for that, but decision making, a leader can always make an effective decision, because and that decision to be means circulated to everybody to get their views before implement on that, because sometimes a leader can also does mistake, although he accept or not accept, but that time it is very critical for the organizations. So we have to be very careful to take any decision. Relationship building, yes, obviously Saroj has told, Pranab sir has told, relationship building is very important for like consultant, customers, lot of stakeholders are there to whom the interpersonal relationship skill always gets a better work done within the time. Now the time management, we have to have a work schedule which is important, which to become fast and which to become next. So time management is another part of game which we are doing from our nursery stage to till date. Sometimes often we slip it, but that is the most important. Strategic approach means that strategically that how to handle a critical situation, that approach is most useful or necessary, because until that Jill, you cannot carry on anything, or you cannot take proper decisions. Self-awareness, yes, obviously, that is a personal traits. That's quality of your personality, behaviors, motivations, which influence the teams and make you a good leader. Now, this is a good quotation I got, Simon Sinek. He told, it is a leader's job instead to take responsibility for the success of each member of his crew. It is the leader's job to ensure that they are well trained and feel confident to perform their duties, to give them responsibility and hold them accountable to advance the mission. Just not to take care about yourself. We usually in the industry, we take the information from very junior person and execute to the very senior person taking credit. This is very bad practices and we should throw it out, because nowadays the situation has changed. And therefrom that leadership and team building transition is there. So a good leader can always make a good team. That is a very generic theories. So for potential growth of the companies and potential profitability from the project, we have to analyze the SWOT. That SWOT analysis is a very common word in the management. And from SWOT analysis within the team, and as a leader, you have to train the entire group or align the entire group with the goals of the company, which adapted by the leaders. Goals of the company and adaptation by the leaders is the most important. That is the link between a team and the leader. Now team building duties are there. So there are the points just we are going through: assemble teams, set goals, assign roles, mediate conflict. It's also happens inside the playground when we are doing playing a game. That is the coordination. So winning, we often says that winning combination. So winning combination is nothing but a alignment or proper alignment of the team. Now I am coming to negotiation state from the leaders, then team building, and then negotiation. Negotiation is nothing. It's a very small phenomena, is that mutual benefit outcome. Any of the personal factors, any day-to-day work, we all are negotiating even with ourselves as well. So negotiation is the mutual beneficial outcome, which in turn give you a result to take the proper decision. Now, negotiation in our industries, we are quite related for buying any product or selling any product or to implement any project. So there are the methodological some steps, which is very scientific: preparation, discussion, clarification of goals, moving towards an outcome I had told earlier, and agreement and implementation. So there are the planning preparatory works, what we want and how it wants. And then we are taking cognizance from the experts, and then we are making agreement, and the implementation is to be done. Now there are 7 principles for effective negotiation, which is very important, because in our industry, we from our learning or the experience we have seen, most important thing is active listening, because a good listeners can always give a good judgment, because in court area also the judge always listen and order to order. So thereafter the good judgment is coming. Then communication skill, decision making ability, emotional control. Again, I am highlighting because I have a 2-minute session for emotional controls and interpersonal relationships. Now these are the traits of negotiation: patience, clarity, listening, rapport, mastery of details. Means the which I want, I know exactly what I what I want. Otherwise, we cannot communicate to either side about the desired things. So we have to thorough exercise on that subject. And admin skills also is there. This is your personal, means is from your personality. So now the negotiation is four type of columns: accommodating, I lose, you win; avoiding, I lose, you lose; collaborating, I win, you win; competing, I win, you lose; compromising, I lose, wins some, you lose, win some. So these 5 things, better collaborating, I win, you win. This is my suggestion, because that will give you a good result. Reasons of negotiation is that means lack of competitions, buying production or service capabilities, price, quality, delivery services. Means I want that things to be done within proper cost and proper time. That is the main motto. And rest all the ornamentations, because right materials with right cost and right time is the most useful things for a project. Now I'm coming to this is emotional intelligence, last of the subject of my session. See, emotional intelligence is to very common thing nowadays, because sometimes we are emotionally controlled, and that time we are doing the mistakes. That emotional intelligence is something like I can tell you. Say the one political leaders or our prime minister, chief ministers, they are not so educated like us, right? But they are controlling the entire administration for a state of for a nation. So how they are doing? They are much more emotional intelligence than IQ, high IQ person like us who are now today we are meeting. So sometimes IQ has a limitations, but EQ has no limitations. Here you see a photographs that EQ, this is like an iceberg. The top of the iceberg is IQ, which can be seen by the person, but EQ, it is invisible, but sometimes it is effective and it is dangerous. So I always recommend who are going to introduce yourself in the industry, please make yourself high EQ person, emotionally means that intelligent person. IQ is obviously that is all you are. That's why today we are here. So sometimes that EQ person is avoiding to take the decision from the heart, because in industrial practice, be very professional. Your head should be more active, and then your heart will listen the head. That is the thing. Now these are the techniques which well known to almost everybody, because when we go to market and purchase a 1 kilo of potato, we are taking all the measures like this: preparation of negotiation, like means requirement schedule, active listening. I have to listen from the either side. What is the kg of a potato? Effective communication. Sometimes we are doing no, that side we are getting 12 rupees. Now you are asking for 15 rupees. Then you tell every time I am coming to your shop, why you are not giving a discount? That is the emotional control. So collaborative problem solving, we are not so illogical that someone will lose. So okay, then the market rate is 13. Okay, you take 12.50. I will also win. You will also win. You get effective potato purchase in your local market as well. Now, time of procurement strategy and planning. There are the several type of procurement which actually my predecessors also told: capex, opex, annual rate contract, service rate agreement, annual maintenance contract, like kind of that. These are all you can learn from the industry. When you enter, this is nothing. This can be adapted within a very short period of time if you really put your head and mind both in that subject. Type of bid: open bid, closed bid, nomination basis, OEM basis. These are the bids. Means sometimes company is asking for the items which to be procured from a very good supplier. We know that is the reliability is a part. So in that case, we always go by the nomination basis. That there the price is not the main issue, reliability is the main issue. In that case, we are adapted like that. This is the procurement process flow chart. which you can see that is the identify need, agree terms and conditions, negotiate with suppliers, find out the suppliers, then negotiate, then quality analysis, then negotiate commercial negotiation, then comes on a result. This slide I just included because nowadays reverse auction like kind of that is a AI based, artificial intelligence based. So we in the organization in Haldia Petrochemical, we adapted reverse auction. So reverse auction is giving very good result because neither the suppliers nor the buyer are interacting physically. That's all the system is doing, and we all only see the viewers, and suppliers are giving their strategic pricing. So we achieve very good benefit from that, and it comes with a real-time pricing. There is no unfair game, so that all fair games are there. So also suppliers are interested nowadays for this particular reverse auction type. And this is the reverse auction mechanism. I'll give already to the you will get this entire exercise as a course content. And that's all from my side. And I hope that those who are listening, they will agree with the contention. If anything differs or may any questions, I am ready to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee, for your interesting lecture. And now, but one thing I'm sure, you are not buying potato from the market for a long time.
Yes, that is practically, but as an example, but today it is 28 rupees, Chandramukhi.
So anyway, our next speaker is Pritish Kumar Sen. Mr. Sen
I
is
have
the
a
CEO
question
and
for Mr. I have a question for Mr. Mukherjee.
Yes.
Yeah, Saroj, continue.
Yeah, Gautam, you mentioned about leadership, and that is very well, explained the EQ and IQ part and how the leader has to, lead. So one of the challenges that every leader faces is the, uncertainty or the unknown, and how he, tackles it. So now, as we had one session speaker also on artificial intelligence, apart from the human beings and like the system in our days, it was ERP maximum. Now you will have robots and AI, that is machines. Like we have a JCB or a dumper, I instruct the operator, it goes and excavates, so it was obeying me. Now we will have thinking machines which have the freedom to act on their own. So what do you think are the leadership qualities of the future days when you will have robots and artificial intelligence in the projects and business?
No, Saroj, this question is very tricky questions, and I want to answer it because recently I am using ChatGPT. Everybody is doing the ChatGPT. That robots and whatever thing is that to be made by the human brain. So these to be very common and prototype type, means monotonous type. Because a robot can tell you I will do, but a leader can tell you I can do. So this is the basic difference. So apprehending all the risk factors, there are all the mechanisms of risk analysis are there, apprehension, experience. So leader can always analyze what in the uncertainty, what to be the things to be adapted. But robot, yes, they are. AI is a very dangerous thing. It's like a nuclear bomb. So it already blasted. I have seen that in my home, my child is using ChatGPT, and the monotonous type of things are there. So I think we have to adapt that robot. That robot will tell I will do what you told me, and a leader is that I can do what robot I will tell robot to do that. That is the basic difference.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr.
Hello.
Please. Yes, sir.
Hello, Mr. Mukherjee. I have one question for reverse auction. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Actually, whether you have faced that for getting order, any contractor, they may quote unworkable price, and when after doing the work for some time, they stop the work. Then actually this is ultimately the project is hampered. So,
Sir, reverse auction means, I just want to interrupt. Reverse auction is a mechanism which added on the procurement mechanism, but all time it cannot be adopted. Rightly you have said, because sometimes we have to do the exercise because we are using Aspen Tech now. A very good software has launched for the equipment where you can have a price idea of the equipment with certain specification. And if you get some irrational pricing, then you can commercially TN other vendors. No issue for that. So
Okay.
first,
can you reject that vendor?
yes, always you can reject the vendor.
Okay.
Because choosing a
Okay.
vendor in the yes, obviously that to be written in the GCC. Otherwise,
Yes.
it will be a contempt of the Indian contract.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll go to the next speaker. Mr. Pritish Kumar Sen is the next speaker. Mr. Sen is the CEO and editor of Steel Tech, and he was from Tata Steel and spent his career in Tata Steel only and have a vast experience on steel sector. Over to you, Mr. Sen.
Yeah, thank you, Arnav. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you clearly.
Yeah, good. Very good afternoon, rather evening, to all my fellow panelists and the participants attending the program. And thank you, Mr. Ghosh, Amitava Ghosh, for inviting me for this program. As I see this program and the lectures, the presentation being done from yesterday afternoon, what I noticed is the very good program with the best of having lectures from the finest of the professor from IIT Guwahati, Kharagpur, and also who has the deep knowledge in this, as well as lectures and presentation from the experts who have implemented many projects or are implementing also. So I noticed a very well-designed course in a short duration of the time, which gives a very good insight of the project management and the execution. And now for this today's topic in this session, what I see it is commercial, contractual, financial in the project management and the team building leadership in this project. So what I thought that to do in a short span of time, today is a Sunday and I find the time which is giving allotted to me around 10 to 12 minutes. I say, what do I do? Okay, although it is the economy, I thought that, okay, let me bridge this economy, that finance and the one with the industry, particularly the metal industry, which is the basic. And after that, when it is on leadership, I thought I'll touch upon leadership a bit, which the project I implemented, the international project, if the time permits. And that time may, Arnav may allow me to have my some presentation. 1 or 2 slides do I put that time. So coming to, economy per se, this is the basic for any project management or anything you do. And as because the metal industry is the basic one, so I thought of putting a bit glance to the people who are attending this. And, it starts with the mining. The mining, if you see, there are 1,400 mines in our country itself. And it comes to the value of production around 2 lakh crores, which is 25 billion of US dollars. And the metal industry, if you see, it is the basic, which is for the construction, manufacturing, automobile, railways. And the most important ingredients is the metal. And the metal goes like this, which is also the metal industry, which is around 15% per the part of the GDP at the 1950-51 current prices, which although in our countries services the maximum at 52 and the agriculture is 33. Of course, if you take the FI14 basis, that basis changes, but from 15%, which is current prices of 1950, is 15% industry. Government is trying to make it to 25%. So therefore, it is very important. It is very, very important in that way. So coming to this, I'll give you an example of the steel per se. And if I can share the screen for one slide, or no, can I do it from here? Yeah, okay. Can you see my screen? Hello, Arnav?
No, not yet.
Is it?
No. Let Pallab display. Let Pallab.
No. Hold on.
Now it is happening.
Now is it seen? Is a graph, just a simple graph. Okay,
Yeah, we can see.
Thank you. I'll just give you, this is the graph which is saying, like this side is my x-axis is the year, and this axis is the tonnage, and it gives 1950 to 2000, and it gives, this is the steel consumption in the world. Okay, so this is the basic, this is the world steel consumption, and this is the growth rate, which is saying we see that from 1950 it is around 200 million tons, and in 2020 or 23 it has gone almost to the 2000 million ton. That is 1950-51. If you see, what we can see, if you go little further down into 1900, that steel consumption was to the tune of only 29 million ton. From the 29 million ton, it has come to almost about, say, 2000 million tons in 1950 or so. But if you see the metal, the way the economy has grown, this project management has grown, so also that other industries have grown, other metal industry, construction, railways, automobile. So which was around 29 million ton, it went to 2000. It's a huge jump that way. So if you see the way it has gone, if you see the World War I, it has fought between the places that time people used that metal for their weapons. But after the World War II, what happened? The people realized that you have to do and invest in infrastructure. That is the time steel grew very fast. So this is the period, if you can see. So this period, the rate of growth is very stiff from here. But what happened thereafter, till the oil shock, it grew to the tune of around 6.75% CAGR, compound annual rate of growth. But earlier to that, with the low base also, it was around 3.25. So people realized we have to use this infrastructure, and for that reason, metal is the one which is very important. And thereafter, oil shock came in 70s, 73 thereafter. So if you see in this place, the growth rate is very, it is there, but very minimum. Sometimes it is negative. If you see minus 0.5, 1.4. So in this area, it is around 1.1%. Thereafter, again, it went up. This period, people improved the technology from open arc furnace that it came to like the BF, that oxygen furnace came up. But here, during the increased period, if you see a lot of factories, lot of steel cities came in. In India also, with that time, independent 47, that we found that okay, Bhilai steel plant came in, Rourkela, Durgapur, blah blah, these things came in. But there, after the oil shock, it again started moving up very fast. You see that in 2000, 1900, which was around 29, to came to 1000 million ton, it took almost about a century. In 2003 it caused, and thereafter it went to 2000 million ton. It took only about two and a half decades. So that is the way it moved up, and so also other industries. But in India, because we are focused in India, so India, if you see that, we are growing countries, we are developing economy, and the per capita consumption in the world is around 230 kg, 233, and India is 76. So it is one third of the world economy. If you see the case of metal, which is almost 30 times less than what steel, that means steel being used, next best use is aluminium. Steel is 30 times more than aluminium, and next is suppose copper. Copper is around, aluminum is 4 times more than copper. So that is the way it grow. And per capita, if you see there in aluminium also, if it is like 10 kg average, world average, it is 2.5 in case of India, and so also one fourth is the case of the copper. So therefore, propensity to use it more. So we are the one. What I'm trying to say here is, like, we are growing, will grow more. So having said that, this is the perspective what I gave about the economy and the industry and the metal industry per se. So I'll just come to show you the one of the projects which is leadership it shows, to give a project which is an international project. That is called Leaving Steel is the consortium which is being handled by IISI, World Indian that is International Institute of Steel Institute. That earlier it is not, and earlier it is not IISI, now it is now World Steel Association. They started a project. They're the one which is called Leaving Steel. That means they saw if we can see that the way this construction is being done around the country. So if it is like it is taking a lot of potable water, it's a wet construction. Now they thought that it is possible to do the dry construction. That means you have to use the use of steel. Most of the places the concrete is the one which is coming up, which is being used. But they say that in the future the things may come like where this dry construction will come. That means factory made, the way it is done in an automobile, similar way it will be done probably in the construction. So it is not a very easy thing to do, because like to change the mindset, people are cutting woods, they use their one, people are using this potable water, then concrete, boiling the one, that side is coming place, so it will take some time. So therefore it is thought that we'll do that some international competition, because architects are the one who are actually like first the one they have to impress that for any construction. And so we have to do some international architect competition. On that international architect competition, after that we can see some implement some of the projects around the world. So that time it was sort of having project in India, one place, another was in China, the third one is in UK, the fourth was in Brazil, and fifth was in Russia, because in different climatic conditions it was thought of. And it was also thought of to do the project, the international competition will be done by WSA, and then it will be then the implementation of the project will be done by the local developer, so that it goes to the people. So that is the format it is given. And as you know, the Indian steel construction per se, that is in case of it is only for not industrial but residential, because residential steel was the focus. And when the international year was done, architecture competition, and this is the jury. Glenn McCart was the chairman of this one, and Mr. Charles Correa from India also was there in the jury. So they did the competition with the follow of EIA around the world. And for India, PRC Corner was the selected for the seam house he constructed. He said that seam house that means symbiotic relationship between that resident and also the environment. So that is the way they developed seam house, and it was thought of having it in Kolkata, that is in Newtown. So because that is the time it went for, like they said that you have to do through a developer. So Bengal Sagi BSSDL was selected as the developer, and the one house which was done, it is Christian called Restello. So what is the when it happens that way? So selecting the developer, selecting the area, and selecting and getting the land also, it's a big problem. So this is the PRC Corner gave a picture. So this is the way it should be coming up when the fully developed, and it's a twin the double frame one. It's a twin axis one. There's a two frame. It is coming in, and this is the one they develop for this one. And here it is why steel, because like as it's a social environment, is like flexibility is very high, economic it's a quick construction, optimization of space and durability, and environment it's energy efficient, easy to dismantle and relocate also. So these are the advantages. So if you see that migration trend, that was the time which is coming around 6 billion people, around the 6.9 billion people in the world. They thought that in another 50 years 2 more billion people will be added to the world. And the basic thing what they need is the housing. And it was a study gone by the United Nations that per day 180,000 people are shifting from urbanization from one city to others. So this is therefore very important. When we went for the place in Newtown, so that is as I mentioned, like developer fixing a developer is the problem. Anyway, we fixed it. And second is like getting a place in Newtown. That was the time I remember I was fortunate to have involved in this project. So we a lot of persuasion and lot of this thing that I remember. I met Mr. Gautam Dev. He was the minister that time. So I mentioned that you named it as a new town, isn't it, sir? He said yes. I said, is it not for the new things? He said yes, it is for new things. I said this is the first residential international architect winning design to be done in our country. So he was very impressed with that, and he gave a 20 quotas of land in that area. Initially, they're going inside, but we wanted to have in the MAR, the main artery row. So we got that land. After that, as you know, that PRC Corner is the architect, winning architect, and Bryson Myers was the structural engineer, which is also from UK. And then while implementing, there's so many problem it takes place. It's not the regular construction. of the regular construction of this steel and concrete. That is, it is only steel. So we have to fix up a proper fabricator. And that time it was designed in such a way it has to be proper steel and proper section to be used. And it was thought that like it will be supplied by Tata Blusco, which is the plant is there in Pune. And there is no welding. That is, the construction was done on that bolting system. That is the latest one. So this is the design which is done. And you know that when it was implemented, so this is that one which took place. I'll come to the side. Let me see if this, yeah. Can you see this? Arnav, can you see this photograph in the screen?
We can see it.
Yeah, so this is the land what we got. This is the getting the land was here. Next time is came, we bounded it. Then we had done this puja. You know, this is the piling, which is piling structure to be done. And this is the Scott Chaps. We are the director of WSA, and Nina, which is from other companies. Their company, around 20 companies around the world, is the member of the Living Steel. So this is the place where it is bounded. Then this is the construction which took place, because only that construction which is below the ground, which is steel and concrete. Thereafter, after the one, it is all steel. This is the team. I'm going little faster because like the paucity of time. Here the one which is implemented for this one, this steel structure started coming from Pune. And here I may say, as because there is that international consultant as well as international structural engineer, and I had to do a proof one, that is, it came from SCI, Steel Construction Institute, UK. And the local, I kept one like INSDAG, Institute of Steel Development Growth. They were seed the site. So this is the one which is got the site erection. This is the while during the construction. Here yesterday, I think Manas took a session. Manas Ghosh of INSDAG. He is the one who is going. So we are inspecting. We used to have the site places. He is Mr. Narendran, who is the MD of Tata Steel. Some people visited the sites at different stages of time. This is a steel deck, and this is a special construction. Actually, Mr. This is a professor from IIT Chennai. They are the ones for the structure, the deflection. They found it pretty good. This is during the construction. That the Restello is the Christian of that place, and this is some of the time people visited. Senior people from different countries. He is the MD of Tata Pluskov, Harish Patak. He was also there, and he is the IIM chairman, Mr. Mohanty, and is the Secretary General. They visited different places of time. This is after implementation. What we saw, the impression of that PFC corner, what they gave. This is after implementation. It's a twin stage one. This is the inside the bracket. That is the one which is inside. There's the twin panel, you can say the facade. So it is, you can see from inside, outside, but outside you cannot see in that your requirement of energy is less in this case. It's a fantastic building. It was not thought like in India, these type of things may take place, So that is the time I remember that when the China used to do, steel construction, 11 stories building within 3 months. And, so also UK is so much, 80% of steel construction is there. And so as the other places. But here it came that India, it was no chance that time. But I am very happy to say, and India probably is the only place where initially what WSA had mentioned, the conditions, the similar way it was only happened in India, although it took little more time, but it happened only in India. So this is the time the international team came, and they visited around 53 countries. People visited the place. So they during that one of the sessions were there. He's a Scott chap. So when it was inaugurated, Mr. Sen also was there of NKDA chairman. So he was there also the scene. Then people from different world still this came, and this is actual photograph which is being implemented with a twin screen. If you see, it looks so beautiful and elegant. And there we also had students. During implementation, we want the student to come from different institute. This is from Jadavpur Institute, architect students they came, and this is the night view of the Restello. So this is the one the steel construction I was telling. It is not welded. It's a special construction. It's a bolted structure is being done, and this is actual this implemented. And with this, I can mention, okay, it was a very difficult situation to implement such project. particularly in this part of the country. But as because we had, hell-bent that, okay, we have to implement it, and this was done. So this is the time where, your leadership as well as your determination, it is required. And it was also said that no money will be paid from any of the companies. So there are, as I mentioned, 20 steel big companies like Tata Steel, ArcelorMittal, POSCO. Many people were there were there in this consortium members. And it was said that this money has to come from the developer who is developing it. What happened in China, although they mentioned whether they make steel 11-story building within 3 months, that Chinese international winning architect was from Israel. So he designed a place where, a lot of greenery is to be inside the building. And once the people being recognized as the international winning architect, they don't, unless otherwise you influence them, they don't change. In our case also, when it was there, it is only G+4. After getting the land, we found that FAR is not made, so it became a G+6. And after that, a lot of many changes took place. So we could convince that our international winning architect to have implemented this project, and so also the PRC corner, Price and Myers, who are the structural engineering design. Detailing was done by Tata BlueScope, but finally it was done. So what I mean here is, if you have the determination, you have the leadership, if you have the one which is courage to go ahead and do it, it was possible to do. So here in our case is developing country, which is having now we are the 5th largest economy in the world, having around $3.75 trillion economy. And as you know, what Mr. Modi, Prime Minister, he mentioned in USA, we are going to be 3rd largest economy in the world soon. And we are just in 2015, we are 10th economy. We are now 5. And there's a lot of things which is being happening in this country, and there is a lot of positive vibes in our country. We are also, this Amrit Mahotsav time is there, so we are implementing, whether it is project management, whether it is anything. This is a very happening time, both in the metal industry, construction industry, automobile, railways, you name it, it is there. So with this brief and with this one, thank you very much for your time. And if there is any question, I can take it now, or we can take it later also.
Thank you, Professor. It's a very, very informative, and people must have liked it.
Thank you. Arnav, as you know, I'm actually out of station. I'm not in.
Yes. I know you are speaking from Delhi.
Yeah. So if you have any question, I want to actually leave. So I'm sorry that I would have loved to. Is there any question? I'll put it otherwise. Okay.
You can send it. Everybody has got my phone number and email address.
Okay.
You can send it to me. I will pass it.
What is the project completed cost of this Restello?
Yeah, that the completed cost in the sense of what? The per square feet you're telling, or cost of it was around 15 crore of rupees we spent there.
Total cost.
Yes. Actually, it is, when you do something new and the first time, it will be cost you more. And when you go for a twin screen, that cost of the putting another face cladding itself, the cost goes up by around 1,200 rupees per square feet. So it's a little high end of
we are now shortage of time. So
yes.
We don't want to prolong this one.
Yeah.
And
thank you very much.
Last speaker for this session is Mr. Arunabh Dattagupta, who was working in ISCO Steel Plant Sale and now consultant. So Mr. Dattagupta will be the last speaker of lecture 5, and lecture 6 onwards will be hosted by Mr. Anirban Datta. He will take over from me. Thank you very much. And I now invite Mr. Arunabh Dattagupta. Please take over. Mr. Dattagupta, please.
Mr. Gupta, please unmute yourself.
Please unmute yourself.
Yeah. Thank you, Arnav. Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible, please?
Yes, you are audible. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Thank you. To start with, let me give a small brief about myself. I passed out from IIT BHU in 1974 in metallurgical engineering, and immediately after that, I got employed in ISCO, Banpur, And after spending few months, I was shifted to Pulti Works, which at that point of time was the largest foundry complex in Asia. And I was very happy, but it so happened that after 1.5 years, I was shifted to marketing. And lastly, it was institutional marketing mostly, which most of my marketing life I had spent in institutional marketing, doing with the project marketing. Means NTPC is coming out with some project, so right from the design stage to the selection of material and discussion with the designer on various sections which we can supply. All those discussions I had seen, and I had personal interest of going down to the respective projects, and I think I have covered more than 400 to 500 large projects, seen for myself sitting there supplying our steel and other items. So I have seen uh, that various projects, like in India, we are famous for delaying the project and all. So one of the reason I found that the delay is primarily because the site engineer or the project manager comes to the site late. I will give you one example. In one particular project, the project engineer, site engineer, he started coming at 5:45 in the morning. There was nobody. So he stood there and then asked the security, "Kab aate hai aadmi log?" So there was some answer, maybe 7:30, maybe 8. He left. Next day he came again at 5:45 and found that his immediate subordinate was standing there, but not much of men. So he left. Third day, he came again at the same time. He found that most of the people are already there, ready. Ready in the sense, having their cup of tea, then smoking, all those things are happening. And by 6 o'clock, this went up. The height fabrication in the height was going on. So the job started at 6 o'clock. And other day we saw that around 8 o'clock, even people have not come. So after they come, have their cup of tea and all those things, it used to start at 9 o'clock. And instead of that, now it is at 6 o'clock. So you can understand that 3 hours output into, suppose it's a 1 year job, so 3 hours output into 10 men into 365 days, the kind of working hour and the output which is to come. So this project, again, we found that till that project engineer was there, they moved ahead of the schedule. Then he was shifted to some other place. So Mr. Y came instead of Mr. X. Mr. Y thought that why I have to go. My deputies are there, they will take care. And in that process, again, dhila kaam chalu ho gaya. And finally, the project got delayed. So friends, if you want to do it in time, one of the principal approach is to start the day early. Make sure that it starts at 6 o'clock. You go, after starting all those things, you go back home, take your children to schools and jo bhi karna hai, marketing and all, take some rest, come by 8:39. But by that time, you have set the tempo. So this is one. Next one, please. Now there is another issue. In India, we are known for finalizing the contract very fast. But execution, on the execution side, we are very slow and invariably we delay. If you look at the Japanese style, they are very slow in finalizing the project contracts, but very fast in execution. There is hardly any case of failure. Why it is so? Now, in India, what happens that many vital terms and conditions which are conflicting in nature remain unresolved, and at times these are kept under carpet. At some point of time, the dispute starts in a bigger way, followed by that negotiations, then heated arguments, arbitration, court case, vagara, vagara. So it's a whole thing is now in a lose-lose condition. Nobody is winning, neither the client nor the contractor. Another issue is that, next one please. Another one is that many of us lack in problem-solving attitude. Ego is another issue which further complicates. And the worst part is that if the contractor is a normally it is found that the contractors are normally very poor in documentation and knowledge in contract terms and conditions, and very often they are bullied by the clients and they lose very heavily. Next one, please. Couple of things also should be very closely monitored. One is that what is the delivery period? Suppose the contract period is 12 months. 12 months from which date? Is it the purchase order date? Is it the date of mobilizing, sending the mobilizing fund? But the fund has been received within 1 month, but your drawing approval has not come. So you do not know what could be the BOQ. You cannot procure, you cannot do fabrication drawing, and nothing is happening. But you have got a mobilizing fund. So we have to take note of all those things and start making our plea to the client that this is what is happening. So you extend the delivery period, not extend, revise the delivery periods and things like that. So starting date is not the purchase order date. Let us be very clear about it. So all the things which the client has to do, that should be completed, and then only that starting date should start. Next one, please. Now, another thing, legally it has been seen that we ask that revise the delivery period, amend the delivery period. So what the clients do is that it is the delivery period is extended from 12 months to 18 months. However, LD clause will apply for the extended period. No escalation will be given on the inputs. If there is any de-escalation, that has to be given by the contractor. All one-sided terms and conditions. So we have found that our lawyer has said that don't ask for the revised or amended delivery period. Your term should be refix the delivery period. So refixing, once it is refixed, instead of 12 months, it will be 18 months, and then all the tails like LD clause, agada bagada, jo bhi hai, once you refix legally, all those things vanish. So friends, please try to use this word of refixing, not amending, not revising, but refixing the delivery period. Next one, please. Also, it has been found that many cases we are not knowing what is the terms and conditions of my own company. So, friends, we cannot say that it is not my duty. At some point of time, you have to take commercial decisions, and you must know what is the terms and conditions of your own organization. Particularly, what is it is stated about the delivery period, the liability clause, the liquidated damages clause. These three clauses are having direct financial implication. So how it is written, and lastly, whether there is any escape routes available or not. There are specialist organizations who can help this thing, or individuals are available. Some of the lawyers are excellent in drafting all those things, and these are now all standardized in a measured way. One more point which has been discussed earlier by many speakers, in that negotiation, here a lot of negotiation has to be there. So better that you make a team, put some 2-3 of your own colleagues as the client. So what could be the client's point of view? Those points should be understood first, and all kind of defense with logic, with data should be prepared. In other words, someone had suggested that very in-depth study has to be done for any negotiation. Very rightly said. So once we are going to discuss on this issue with the client, be prepared. Just don't go with a diary in hand and then start discussing. As a neo, sir, you have to prepare yourself with lot of adversities that might come. So you have to prepare what could be the main stand of the client and prepare accordingly. So these are the few points. Thank you very much. Hello. Arnav, I am done.
Hello.
Hello.
Only
I think Arnav is not here.
only one only. Take over.
Yeah,
Okay,
very.
okay.
Mr. Dattagupta, your presentation was really very heart-touching, and you have covered all the aspects for what a project manager or a project management team should emphasis into. And I really believe that this will be a really learning experience for the students or the participants who are attending today. And due to opacity of time, we are proceeding to the next session. Instead of question answer and interactive session, questions and interaction we may take up after completion of the next session. And I would request all the speakers of the session which has just been concluded to be with us, so that we can all participate in a discussion, open forum discussion. So
Thank you. Thank you.
we are now heading to the next session, which is actually the session lecture number 6. And the theme of this session is project execution and strategy for compressed schedule and cost-effective solutions, and which will be touching upon the sectors like power, steel, petrochemical, and other industrial sectors. And this session will be addressed by industry experts, and will be part of the deliberation will be from Mr. Amitava Ghosh, Managing Director, GBS Energy Systems Private Limited, and former Vice President of Texmaco. And he has served actually many organizations and earned so many accolades for executing multi-million dollar rupees projects, multi-million value projects in various capacities. So I would request Mr. Ghosh to share his experience and thoughts with us.
Thank you, Anirban, and good evening, everybody. The subject is project execution and strategy for complex schedule and cost-effective solution. So, follow next slide, please. Okay, now, for any project, there are three basic parameters which we have to fulfill for successful execution. Number one is, of course, the time schedule. Number two is the quality assurance as per the requirement. And number three is the budget. I'll come to the first point, time schedule. Time schedule is an issue which is a problem for normal Indians. We are always behind schedule. Even for this talk, we are half an hour behind schedule. This is normal. And for all projects, there are very few exceptional projects we have been completed in time. I can only talk about Purulia pump storage in West Bengal, which was done ahead of time and within budget and within schedule. That is the real thing. But why it does not happen? Now the next question is, why a project manager is required? Because project manager is not doing design engineering, they are not doing the manufacturing, they are not doing the procurement, they are not doing the inspection, they are not organizing transportation, erection, commissioning, nothing they are doing. So what is the role? Role is that for each activity which goes from here to here, everywhere there is a delay. And to keep the overall framework, there has to be one person with a team, project management team. They will monitor the whole thing has happened in time as per quality requirement and within budget. So a project manager has to have a good leadership quality. It should be acceptable to all. And the man with a big ego should not be a project manager. Because project manager has to deal with chairman to chairperson, everybody. Then only it will be successful. And a comprehensive all-round safety measures has to be ensured. Safety means not only personal safety from material or manpower or machinery, it is from the safety from design, safety from manufacturing, safety from erection commissioning, or even safety from quality. All-round safety. Then we can say that we have executed a safe project. This has to be done from concept to commissioning and also during operation and maintenance. So I'll come to the next. Yeah. Now, compression of schedule. Compression of schedule, why it is required? Because of the first point I have told, that supposing there is a schedule which is, say, 2.5 years. So my idea is, in view, because we cannot change our character, that is impossible. So in my view, or from my experience, I can say, there is 2.5 year schedule. I make it a compressed schedule internally 2 years. So even if I am delayed, then I can complete it within 2.5 years. Because there is always a chance, so we keep the contingency of some time internally, so that even if we are delayed, then we complete in time. This is one part. Second part is that I am doing after, let's say I am doing equipment, supply, erection, commission, and we are doing after civil work. And in all projects, civil work is delayed for various reasons. And the customer wants to make it up by squeezing the time of equipment erection and commission. That's another thing which is very interesting. And then we have to do, because then they will get revenue, early revenue, otherwise it will be delayed. So there, both the cases, we have to do the reverse engineering. Reverse engineering is that you have to first fix up the time, and then you have to calculate the time allocation for all the activities. Next. Yeah, this is the area I told: design and engineering, procurement of long lead items, shop manufacturing, transportation, site manufacturing, and erection commission. Follow next. Yeah. So how to achieve it with suitable modern? See, how to achieve erection commission with suitable modern cranes, erection machinery, infrastructure, good teamwork, modern communication system, and support of all concerned in parallel working with civil work. This schedule can be complete. Supposing usually it should not be sequential. Usually after the civil work is complete, we take it over. But we can also do parallel. While the civil work is going on, parallelly we can do the equipment erection work. Next. So this is an innovative way. Each and every time, project to project, it will change. And design engineering. Design engineering is a process where it has to be as low as possible, minimum, and it has to be also sequential. That while we continue our design engineering, and the work goes on parallel. So start of the work start early. Not that the last drawing is issued, then the work starts. And so is the procurement of long lead items. This is some of the items which we have to import, or is the long lead items. We have to identify. And then we have to go accordingly, the long lead items. Next. Follow. Yeah. See, the above long lead items should be designed in a way that the same can be sourced as per complete schedule. And also, we should try to make, as far as possible, we should try to make it in India. Because anything which is imported, it has got a lot of issues, apart from the high price. Next. Shop manufacturing. Shop manufacturing is another way where we have to adopt the latest technology, which can be done very fast and very correct, which has been discussed by my predecessor. And then transportation. Transportation plays a very important role in hydro project because it has to go to a remote hilly areas, and there, you have to make the size of the consignment such that it can be accommodated on the trailer. That's the design has to be done accordingly. Next. And of course, the site manufacturing. Site manufacturing is the very important point for hydro work, particularly penstock. Penstock is a pressure vessel, and which has to be done by site welding, which is ASTM 317 grade F material, very high quality material, high quality welding, and it has to be done inside a tunnel where there is a problem of wear. And this has to be done. This is a very difficult work, and we find a lot of problems that after it is done and when doing testing, we find the water is leaking. There has been cases, few cases on that. So I was telling, welding of this penstock is the most important area for any hydro, because it is done in remote area and where you to get all the machineries and people are difficult. And of course, erection commissioning, if you use the heavy cranes, it will be easier. It will be easier to do the work. So then another thing is the work during monsoon. You all know in hydro work, monsoon, 3-4 months, we cannot do any work. I mean, civil or equipment. There, we did one work that is during monsoon, we use the barges and the floating crane so that we can also work during monsoon and reduce the overall cycle time. Next, Abhi. So this early commissioning may be achieved by, of course. the work of and then one more thing, there is some minimum activities which are to be done, which can be left, which can be done even after generation. This one has to decide suitable that how it can be done so that we can start generation, because all the people, including the ministry and politicians, all are will look after the when the plant is generated, when the power is generated and revenue started. So that is most important. I mean, some of the plants, hydro plants, they are, I mean, for various reasons, like the biggest hydro plant, Suwon City hydro project, 2,000 megawatts, which has taken something like 17 years, and it is still not completed, expected to be completed. There are a lot of projects, 15 years, 16 years, for various reasons. So there, if we adopt proper project monitoring execution, then definitely time schedule can be set abruptly. Next. So this is, I told in the beginning, Indian projects generally are delayed for various reasons, resulting time and cost overrun, and that is why complex schedule or crash program is a must in our. So that is it. Say recently, I had the opportunity to do a couple of crash programs in steel sector as well as hydro sector. In hydro sector, I can say two projects. One was at 240 megawatt Uri 2. Uri is in a LOC, J&K, and another is 231 megawatt Chamera 3, Himachal project, all under NHPC. Each project, we reduced the time, last period, 12 months to 6 months. 12 months to 6 months time we did it. But of course, NHPC compensated us with additional money, handsome, I must say. And they say that this extra amount, what we are giving to you, it is nothing compared to the money we generate from our power generation. I mean, not all the customers are like that. But I think one should consider from the revenue earning from the final production of generation. Because this extra money, this incentive, if it is there, then definitely projects can be done in a very short period. So I think that's all I want to say. And I must thank all the speakers who have done excellent, given excellent presentation. And I have very little to say after that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Ghosh. Practically in a nutshell, you have emphasized that how crashing of the schedule or compressing of the schedule or pre-commissioning, early commissioning can be beneficial, and yes, how it can be achieved, and it is possible. So, thanking you once again, and please be with us for the open session. And now I request the next speaker, who is Dr. Mukulesh Debnath, a civil and structural engineer graduated from IIST Shibpur, erstwhile Bengal Engineering College, and he is a doctorate PhD in design of hydromechanical and hydrodynamic structures. Served many organizations of many EPC and manufacturing organizations like Bharat, Braithwaite, and presently he is the Vice President of Texmaco Limited. So I request Mr. Dr. Mukulesh Debnath to kindly deliver his address.
There? Can I control it from my screen?
Yeah, do it.
I think there is some conflict. It is showing.
You can give it to Paulo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can share. You can share.
Vallabh, can you please help?
Paulo.
Yeah, you share.
No, Pallav, you just try, huh?
Okay.
I think meantime I am audible, everybody.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Viewers here. So just now, Mr. Amitava Ghosh concluded the subject. I mean, I worked with him for 10 years, maybe, and still now he is my guru. I mean, whatever I am today is because of him only. Okay, because of him only. So I please accept my everything, gratitude, namaskar, pranam. So I will discuss today the basic of project management. I mean, I think is there problem in visualizing? Is it okay?
Yes, you are audible. You are audible, please.
You are audible, and
Audible.
your first slide we can see also.
Okay. The subject is project execution and strategy for compressed schedule, cost-effective solution. So there are bachelor's course, master's course on this project management for 2 or 3 years duration. So here, a time slot of 10 minutes is given to me for this speech. So from very beginning, I have to adopt some techniques of management to successfully completing the task. So very beginning, my lecture is under scanner of project management. Next. So I think all definitions are given here. What is project management? The term project management or execution is known as project implementation. That refers to various actions a team can take during the phases of project life cycle. Now, successful execution of project involves catching up missteps before they happen and monitoring the project throughout. In today's program, if you take it as project management, I see Mr. Arnav, when Mr. Viswas was taking much time, he just called him, sir, you are taking more time, so we are getting out of time. So this is the crux. So he played a role of a successful project manager. So where the missteps are there, he took the steps and asked him to stop there. I mean, to conclude his project, conclude his speech as early as possible. So he took the right step. So during this project, speech, I'll be talking something regarding all. Where some compression is there. So compression, what is compression? What is fast tracking? So this type of definitions will be coming in my speech. During project execution, the project team delivers the agreed upon products and services, processes, frameworks, and methods to support deliverable completion. Next. So A solid project plan provides the team with transparency on task and project needs and strategy. So activities, various activities are there. I have jotted down 4, 5, 6 activities. That is people management, ongoing communication, delivering project goals, reducing scope creep, monitoring quality, resource allocation, and schedule management. Next. So a life cycle of a project phase is shown as diagrammatically. So we'll not explain here. The next page. Compression. The project compression technique are applied during the modified planning process if a project is lagging its plan. The goal of scheduling compression is to try compress the schedule without changing the scope of project. My speech, there are 15 slides. So I'll be talking on 5 or 6 slides. 7 or 8 slides I will not be talking on that, but the slides will be given to the viewers. So they, I mean, during the course of time, they can consult these slides. So it is not creating any disturbances while I am giving the speeches to the viewers. So this is called compressing without changing the scope of the project. Everything is there, but I am not going through everything. I am just strategically discussing something. Rest of the things are available to everybody. If the scope of the project has not changed and if the project is delayed, the planned deadline can only be achieved by compressing the remaining program of the project. Next. So there are some useful tactics to intervene on critical activities. First, reduce the duration of the activities by reducing the associated risk. So where the associated risk lies, during estimation time, we generally take time as a buffer, additional time as a buffer. So this accounts for risk. So we have to reduce or eliminate this risk. So we have to eliminate the buffer to 0. Reduce the duration of the project by adding additional qualified resources to the activities of a critical path. So it is called project crushing. Ghosh Saab, he explained everything regarding crushing. If you have fronts, so you go for parallel working, not by series. So parallel working means you need more machineries, more people, more workers. Certainly, this action increases costs. It also increases project risk, but at the end of the day, it can crash the project. I mean, for a project like, there is a project, Subansiri hydroelectric project, that is the highest, biggest in India. So every government of India has invested 20,000 crores of rupees, and every day's delay in generation of electricity is 1 crore rupees per day. So if we can inaugurate the project early, commission the project early, so government of India will not waste 1 lakhs rupees per day. So that's why the project crushing is required. Reduce the duration of the project by replacing a team member with someone with more expertise and knowledgeable to perform critical path activities. Naturally, this action will also increase the project cost. Reduce the scope of the project. Discuss the priority of the deliverables with key stakeholders. Mr. Ghosh already discussed that in a hydroelectric project, all the activities are not required to generate the project. You first start generating the project, and the minor activities you can do later on. So that should be an understanding between the customer and the contractor how to commission the project. So this is one of the key factors. Next. There are several techniques for compression of a project schedule. Recheck the dependencies. So every time you have to recheck the activities and make sure that these are correct and valid. Challenging hypotheses in which the activities are thought to be mandatory. You can always think over that. You can always start a step before the next step is completed. So this is called fast tracking. Reduce delays. Finding ways to reduce delays along the critical path of the project sometimes requires creativity. Check up external dependencies. Example is you need a laptop at site. So don't wait for 15 days to laptop to be delivered at site. Directly buy a laptop from local retailer and start working there. Check the outsourcing assumptions. If you choose to outsource, you can contractually reduce the duration of the outsourcing activities. So it is possible to speed up the projects by modifying dependencies and by acting on the time compression. Next. So possible solutions for the compression of the project schedule. First of all, check the risk and re-establish the duration of the activities. So already explained. If the revaluation results in postponed deadline for the completion of the project, the fast tracking of the project must be considered, explained earlier. Third step is the project crushing. It is also explained. Fourth step, the reduction of the project scope. Reducing the scope can help reducing remaining activities in the project, already explained in my earliest. The last step that is not explained, that is the cutting of quality. Reaching a certain level of quality means investing time and money. If the client agrees to reduce his quality expectation, this will be an additional help to complete the project faster. But last step represents the most extreme solution. Most of the time, the client are not agreeing on that. Next. I have jotted down 4 ways to make a construction project more cost effective. Ensure the cost estimation is correct from the onset. Identify risk and uncertainties early in the project. Avoid reworks and have an effective communication mechanism. Now, difference between cost control and cost reduction. So it is a very important. Next. Yes, it is very important definition. I try to explain through next slide. Next. What is the difference between cost control and cost reduction? Cost control is a technique used to maintain the cost as per the standard, but cost reduction is a technique used to economize the unit cost without lowering the quality of the product. The nature of cost control is temporary, but nature of cost reduction is permanent. Cost control is emphasized on past and present cost, but cost reduction emphasized on present and future cost. So cost control ends with the project is completed, but cost reduction, there is no end. So type of function for cost control is preventive and cost reduction is corrective. Next. So key questions for any organization. 2 key questions need to be addressed in turning cost from a competitive challenge to a source of clear-cut advantage. How can we target investment more precisely to maximize strategic advantage? And second, how can we cut out the low-performing business and inefficient operations that waste resources and hold back returns? The way forward. Next. 5 steps are designed to provide a more informed, systematic, and sustainable approach to strategic cost reduction. Step 1, start with strategy. Have a clear view of your strategy. Ensure its consistently understood across the organization. Second is align cost to strategy. Differentiate the strategically critical good cost from non-essential bad cost. Aim high. Be bold, be brave, and be creative. Set direction and show leadership. Deliver cost optimization as a strategic business transformation program. Create a culture of cost optimization. Ensure you embed a culture of ownership and incentivize continuous improvement. Before finishing this speech, I want to say something. I mean, 2 key aspects. One is for a successful project manager, you take decision in time. Maybe decision in the long run, you can find the decision was not right, but during the execution of the project, you can make it right. Take decision in time. not right decision in a wrong time. Don't wait for that. And secondly, we more became more enthusiastic during grabbing of order. So we don't have any accurate basis of estimation. So we have to put more time in engineering estimations to make it accurate. Once any contract is finalized, don't waste any time. Complete the project as early as possible. This is the key story for successful project execution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Debnath, and you have practically concluded with a very important message that to complete the project as soon as possible after the contract is awarded. That should be the motto, that should be the spirit. Please be with us for the open house. And may I now request Mr. Devabrata De, our next speaker, the former Executive Director of West Bengal Power Development Corporation Limited, and he is associated with many professional bodies. He is a fellow of the Institution of Engineers India and vast experience in executing power projects of West Bengal Power Development Corporation Limited. Mr. De, please start your address.
Good evening, everybody. Actually, there is less time right now. We are running 45 minutes late. And actually, if I go through my slide, it will take another 1 hour. So quickly, I just tell you about the success story of Bokresh thermal power project, how we could commission the unit 3 months ahead of schedule. Everyone is talking about compressed schedule, blah, blah, blah. But actually, all these are in words, but this is to be translated into action. And what I feel, or what I understand, or what I actually during my experience while working in Bokresh project, I can tell you the only one actually particular area that is judicious project monitoring. Judicious project monitoring is the key word for the success of a project. I repeat, judicious project monitoring is the key word for the success of the project. Let me tell you very quickly the history of Bokresh. Bokresh was started long back in 1989 when actually West Bengal government and the then Power Development Corporation thought they will do the project themselves. And perhaps those who are young, they cannot remember, but those who are quite old, they can remember. At that time, there was a slogan, "Rokto diye Bokresh Gorbo." And definitely lots of blood, maybe some gallons of blood, particularly were wasted. But we started the job in 1989, and the contract of boiler was awarded to ABL, and the contract for turbine was awarded to BHL. And in the boiler of unit number 1, the structural work was completed, and the foundation of unit number 2, boiler number 2, was also was in progress. And BHL was manufacturing and they are actually turbine and other auxiliaries. But due to shortage of fund, actually further progress was halted. And by this time, the USSR actually there was disintegration of USSR. USSR broke down on 25th December 1991. Then Russia came out, and I could remember when there was lack of fund from PDCL or the government of India or government of West Bengal, the Russia has came up to help us, not by cash but by kind. We have a lot of meeting with Russia. They are interested to supply their product only to Bharat project, but that too could not progress further. We then actually we gone for the loan from the then OECF, Overseas Economic Cooperation Fund, and that OECF has agreed to fund the project with a soft loan, the very minimum interest to the tune of 2%. Thereafter, the OECF themselves and one actually foreign review consultant EPDC, they were with us. DCPL was with us, and definitely at that time late Dr. Shankar Sen was also with us. I can tell you there are three things. One is intention, second is attitude, and third is action. These three things are needed to complete a project ahead of schedule. Actually, what we did during the implementation of Bharat project, and actually the continuous monitoring of the project from the top, that is from the minister, MIC Power, Diden MIC Power, Dr. Shankar Sen has continuously monitored the project day in and day out, and every month he used to go to the site. Initially, he visited all the site activities made be from actually Itochu or BHL or say other contractors like Atmanirbhar or water package contractors, SPML. All these sites normally visited in the morning, and then the PRM, that is the project review meeting, is conducted under the chairmanship of the MIC Power, and from in that meeting, all the actually the delay points were very carefully recorded, and it was taken up. Actually, my boss, Mr. N. Saha, could recollect all those memories. These actually delay points are taken up very seriously, and all the contractors were asked to actually recover the delays. And in that way, what is the main factor? Main factor is the approval of drawing. Approval of drawing, we constantly followed up with DCPL to release the drawing as early as possible for start of manufacture as well as start of the erection work. Perhaps you will be surprised to know in the process of approval drawing, there are 3 or 4 steps. That is action 4 type drawing, action 3 type drawing, action 2 type drawing, and action 1 type drawing. Perhaps you all know what are the actually category of drawing and what is mean for. And in one meeting, I could remember in one meeting, our top brass, they have decided to start manufacturing and to start erection activity with action 3 drawing. Mind it, action 3 drawing. Action 3 drawing means partly approved with a lot of comments. But as because we have to conclude the project within schedule, if not ahead of schedule, we have taken up a decision. Okay, let us start the manufacturing activity. Let us start the site activity with action 3 drawing. That was the intention. That was the action. That was the attitude. Why we could actually recover the delivery period. And parallelly, the quality checkup, for quality checkup, the manufacturing quality plan, and for site activity field quality plan was also taken care of, and with utmost care and also with utmost responsibility. All these things from our side, not only from consultant but also from PDCL engineers are also involved to actually approve those quality plans, and also to inspect the material, equipment and material at the manufacturer's works, and to get it actually delivered to the site as early as possible. In that way, we could reduce the time. You know very well, or rather most of the contractors, they actually implement the project through MS project. And while implementing Bakrishar, we have adopted another tool, that is Primavera. But BHL was compatible with the MS project, but from our side, we are doing Primavera. That is also a tool, that is a project monitoring tool. You all know, may it be MS project or may it be Primavera, there may be, considering all the packages, that is main plant package, cooling plant package, water system package, then your switchyard, blah blah. Considering all the package, there may be more than 10,000 activities. What we did, or rather what Top Brass has given us instruction, you please follow up the consultant and follow up the contractor to maintain the early start and early finish schedule. Not that early start and late finish. Let them let them complete their work early, start their work early and complete their work early. In that way, we could reduce the schedule effectively, and that was the very important tool which helped us a lot, and ultimately we could complete the project. Actually the full load operation of Bakrishar unit number 1 was 48 months from the letter of award, that is the issuance of letter of award, and the commissioning, the synchronization was 42 months from the date of letter of award. But the letter of award was placed on BHL, mainly BHL, Itochu. BHL and Itochu was a consortium, was placed on BHL Itochu in early 1996. Early 1990, maybe March, perhaps I could remember, March 1996. And the synchronization was done in July 1999. That is 3 months ahead of schedule. And it was possible only because of very, very judicious project monitoring, very, very serious follow-up, very, very serious follow-up by all the personnel from the top brass up to the manager level, with consultant, with the contractor, and accordingly we could reduce the time. And one evening I was there in the control room of Bakrishar unit number 1. My boss Sahasai was also there in the control room of unit number 1, Bakrishar unit. That was July 1999. I could remember the unit was synchronized around 1 a.m. Around 1 a.m. In some day, maybe 20th July or 21st July 1999, and it was 3 months ahead of schedule. That is why I again repeat, the only tool to complete a project within schedule or ahead of schedule is nothing but judicious project monitoring and continuous follow-up with the consultant and with the contractor. Okay, thank you. This is the success story of Bakrishar, which I remember not only during my career, but also rest of my life. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Dev, because really, indeed, the Bakrishar was a success story, because since inception, this project had been struck by many unforeseen circumstances.
Obstacles, yes.
Yes, and maybe in the open session we can hear few more words from you on this great feat. And
Sahasab also can tell you. Sahasab
yes,
knows very well.
yes, we are having Mr. Shah as well. So definitely we would like to hear from you a few more words on this,
Sure,
which are practically untold or unknown to
so
us.
many.
Yeah, and now we are actually having our next speaker.
You have muted yourself, Mr. Anirban.
Anirban, you just unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself. You got muted.
Sorry. Yeah. Next speaker of this session is Mr. Topon Bokshi. He will be joining from US, and he is the president of KST International Business Incorporation. He is a domain expert in the mining exploration and sorry. Practically, his address will be focused on the cost effectiveness of for the mining projects, and also he will touch upon the compressed schedule as well. May I now request Mr. Boxi to start his deliberation? Over to you, sir.
Mr. Baxi, please unmute yourself.
Novak Djokovic leading 2-0.
Mr. Boxi? Mr. Boxi, can you hear us?
Mr. Bokshi, please unmute yourself. You are muted.
Mr. Boxi is not seen in the screen.
I can see Mr. Bokshi, but he is muted. Please unmute yourself first. Otherwise, we can't hear you.
Actually, he is logged in, but maybe not in the chair, not in front of the laptop. Could be.
Meanwhile,
while maybe give a phone call.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we are having another speaker, Mr. Pankaj Raichaudhuri, but due to some medical issue, he is not being able to present his address directly, but he has shared his presentation with the organizers. So until Mr. Boxi comes and join, may we run the presentation of Mr. Pankaj Raichaudhuri? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, talk.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Boxi joined.
Mr. Boxi is there. Yes, come.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah.
Shall I start now?
Yes,
Hello.
yes, sir.
Yes, please do.
Okay. Well, you guys have talked about my experience, but you guys probably don't know that I worked for Bata India Limited for 8.5 years. And then I came to United States and rejoined the mining industry. What I have done, my experience in mining industry is that I'll break down in first one, about 100 years back, there was an explosion in a coal mine in Monongah mine disaster is 1907. And in that, there were 362 coal miners were dead. So it was that bad. And what was the result of that explosion? That explosion was that time people were using naked flame lamp. So that's why it was very vulnerable and explosion used to be started and 362 people were dead. The result of that was you started a Davis safety lamp. What is a Davis safety lamp? It is a lamp, open lamp, but surrounded by a copper net so that heat does not go outside and cannot ignite the gas outside. And Davis safety lamp was slowly replaced. And then modern time, there was a disaster, big time disaster in 2006, and that mine was Sago Mines. And also very close to each other, there was another disaster in January 19, 2006, and 2 miners were dead. What was the result of that? There were a lot of changes in the government actions. MSHA, Mine Safety and Health Administration, they did something like this. You have to have SCSR. What is that SCSR? Self-contained self-rescue devices. If the mine height is 4 feet and above, every 2,500 feet, you have to have a cache of self-rescuers, and the number of self-rescuers in the cache would be same number of people that working. Most of the time, 9 people are working. So you have to have 9 self-rescuers every 2,500 feet. If it is less than 4 feet, then every 1,250 feet. Then another thing was done that you have to have a lifeline. It's a string of a rope, and we have a reflector. So you can see even in darkness, you can see the reflector and hold the rope and come out of the mine. All of these were supposed to be acting together. Then the two-way communication, we call that RFID, radio frequency identification. And that is a costly thing, but it should be done. And all the coal miners that using the mining hat, they have a reflector. As you pass through these stations, they will record it and send a message to the surface showing your location in the mine. So in case of emergency, they can track you very quickly. And then refuse shelter. What is refuse shelter? It is a box, a steel box, probably half an inch thickness. And I was involved in designing one of those, and for a coal miner, for a coal mine operator, that means owner of the coal mine. And you have everything for sustaining there for a couple of days of staying there inside with food, oxygen, and water. And then in the meantime, they will locate you and try to rescue you. So that was the idea, refuge shelter. Another thing also MSHA started, the disaster that Sago Mine had, it blew out a seal. What is a seal? A seal is a abandoned area is sealed off from the working area. So that design seal was 20 psi, but the explosion was proven to be 40 to 60 psi. So you have to improve on the seal. The way that MSHA did is you have to build two seals, one after another, so that first seal will block the explosion force and second seal will stop it. And the other one that MSHA did not do that, it was my idea and suggested it, that is you locate on the surface. On the surface, you locate exactly where people are working. And every 4,000 feet ahead of the mining, you survey it and make a 2-inch diameter hole. This is not a borehole, it's just a simple hole. and so that you can locate it first, and in case of emergency, you can ream it and make it a 18-inch diameter or 20-inch diameter hole, and you can put a cage down, a multi-cage, 2-layer cage down to the floor of the mine and rescue the people one by one. So it will help you if you know the location where the people are working. Now, the cost of this is very little. Total SCSR cost is 18,000. Lifeline will be $16,000. RFID will be $100,000 for 10,000 feet of mining. And drilling cost ahead of mining will be $10,000. And the refuse container, which is the most costly, and it is $400,000 for an advance of 4,000 feet of mining. Total cost altogether is $250,000 for 4,000 feet of mining. And that is about 2.7% of the total mining cost. And the cost of production is for 4,000 feet of mining is $9 million. So only 2.7% of the cost is involved in this case. So if you do that, what is the advantage of that? You are getting the miners will be safe. You will not have any accidents, and therefore productivity will be improved. So this is a very important situation, and people are doing that. And we cannot, and there are another thing also being done, which is zero accident incentive. If the mine does not have any accident in a quarter, they are recognized by the government and they are given some award. Award, not monetary award. Award is like a trophy. So this is going to improve the mining. It will improve the productivity, and it will feel coal miners will feel safe to go inside the mine. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Boksi. And may I now request Mr. Boksi, please be with us for the interactive session. May I now request Pallab to kindly show the presentation shared by Mr. Pankaj Raichaudhuri, who is being unable today to join with us, but he has shared his presentation. Yeah, thank you.
আচ্ছা চল এবারে কি খাবো ব্রেকফাস্ট খাবো আমার হয়ে গেছে এটা চলছে অন্য দেখছে
মিউটের জন্য ওটা আটকেছে
হ্যাঁ আরে জানি না তো কোনো করিনি ও কালকে অনেক কিছু সেট আপ করলো কিন্তু মিউট আনমিউটটা জানি না জানতাম না আমি এইখানে করছিলাম বুঝছিস এখানে একটা আছে সেখানে টিপছিলাম
ও এসে তো এইখানে করলো
ও এসে এখানে ছিল একটা এই যে বোধহয় এইটাতে ওটা পরে আবার জিজ্ঞেস করে দেবো কোনটাতে করেছি
Time is running out. That's why I have not shown my slides.
প্রজেক্টটাতে কি করে খরচা বাঁচানো, যে সমস্ত প্রজেক্টগুলো বলছিল না, কি আইডিয়া ওদের প্রজেক্টটা খরচা।
Yeah. Thank you, Pallav, and this entire presentation of Mr. Pankaj Rai Chaudhary is very, very informative, and I believe that students who are attending this program will be immensely benefited from this basic framework of the project management activities. So now, although we are running a bit late, about 10 minutes late, but now I open the session for interaction and question answer, and we see a hand raise from Mr. Pranab Mukherjee.